And when she walked into the house, she said, "It feels like magic in here." And that immediately was like, there is a vibe. There is a feeling of just family and community and like ease that people feel when they walk into the space and when they walk into even an event that we've had there. Like it's, I think maybe even saying that it feels like home.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Red and Black. I'm your host, Red Young. I'm here with Briana Brown. And Briana is a people person. I think everything you do involves working with people and knowing how to manage personalities and keeping a calm head. I think that's what I would think about when I think of you, is just like chill, able to manage almost like chaos sometimes.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? And let's introduce some of the things and some of the people that you work with.
Okay. So I think managing chaos started from like young, right? Like I have a huge family. I have a ton of friends. And I think at one point I was like the mom of the group, then I became the planner. And now I'm just like, okay, Brie, we want to throw this event. What do you think? Like, what do I need? Who should I talk to? Like, literally, my friend just asked me about her birthday party, and I was like, okay, there's a steel band. I know a guy. Like, if you're trying to do something like that,
the gears are turning.
Right, exactly. Immediately, I'm like, okay, I'm going into like execution mode. That's very much, and I love working with visionaries because it's very easy for me to be like, okay, we could do that. Like, all right, like, okay, let's build a timeline. You know,
right.
And I've been able to do that with the house itself and like the renovation of the house in Harlem, which I haven't
introduce the dojo.
So the dojo. Wow. All right. So I'll just go to the beginning.
Beginning.
Yeah.
This is an incredible story.
Yes, and we're trying to. The editing of this doc is like a whole other thing. All right. So in like 2021, like the end of 2021, my aunt, who was living in that building, had passed away, and she had been pretty much the caretaker, along with another uncle, of that space. Of
a brownstone in Harlem.
Yes, of a brownstone in Harlem that has been in our family since 1941. So it's incredibly old. The building itself was constructed probably in like the late 1800s, maybe 1883, something like that. And my family actually owned 3 brownstones at one point. They owned this one, the one next to it, and then another one, I think on like 138th. And just over time, because of the maintenance that it requires, the money that needs to be put in to maintain it, it's extremely old building. They lost the other 2 properties. And when I was a kid, I remember going to my great aunt Bernice's house, and we were there to clean it up because we were selling it. And I distinctly remember being in like the top floor of this huge space, literally with a broom, just like, sweeping it up. And I remember, I think maybe earlier that day, we were in the kitchen, and I remember the floor of that building being like so unleveled, like you could see the dirt. So and even at that age, like I realized, I'm like, damn, like the kitchen shouldn't look like this. Like why, like the level of upkeep that it requires is immense. So anyway, so this building is here, and my auntie has just passed away, and my cousin, her only child, lives in LA. And my brother and I are kind of like, and at the time, I'm living in Queens. I was living in Far Rockaway. My brother was living at home, and I was commuting out to Long Island for work, and my brother was commuting downtown for the city. And he was living with my folks in Rockland, which is deep, right? So he's like over an hour at least. So we're kind of like scheming on, what if we moved to Harlem and then, kind of like offset some of this responsibility that Patrice, like my cousin, now has with this space. And there was a tenant living in there, and I think she was planning to move out in March, and this is like January 22. So she ends up moving out. We kind of like float the idea with my cousin, but I still have a job and I'm not about to commute from Harlem to Long Island. But we end up essentially deciding to move in. I ended up getting a remote job. My brother moved out, and we moved into this space in like October 2022. The house is like, the floor that I lived on specifically, just so much stuff. So when you think about how long it's been in the family, like you're talking about generations and generations of things, and Caribbean people and Jamaican people just love to like hold on to stuff.
Sentimentality is huge.
This idea of coming from nothing, and now you have credit cards, and now you have I forget what the channel is on TV that's always trying to sell you stuff. Like, so we're literally finding boxes of unopened jewelry, boxes of sheets, just like so much stuff. And amongst all of that, we're finding karate equipment. And we're finding like katana swords and nunchucks and
curveball,
like all these books and videos and just so much stuff. And we're like, oh my God. Like, and so the backstory for that. So my aunt was married to my Uncle John, and my Uncle John passed in like maybe the early to mid 2000s. But I remember him like, and I remember going to the house a lot as a kid, and he has this punching thing that's almost like installed on the wood, like in the house when you come into the basement. And as we're like uncovering all this stuff, I'm like rediscovering what Uncle John was actually doing in the early 90s. So he had a self-defense institute that I think opened, at one point he was doing it out of the previous house that they lived in on 138th. And then he was also teaching karate at St. Luke's, right, near City College on like 141st, which is now, I guess, like shut down. And then he eventually brought it into his home, into the basement of this house. And we had the original mats that he was using, and then like we, finding all this equipment. So fast forward, we move into the house, we're finding all this stuff. My birthday was coming up, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll like rent a space and throw a party. And I was thinking about like Brooklyn. I'm like, first of all, the rates in New York City to do anything is just ridiculous. And I was like, if I'm gonna put money into something, like I'd rather it be something that I can use over and over again, and something that's gonna be beneficial to my community, to my family, or whatever. So my cousin and I, who's also like a brilliant interior designer, we get to work and we are cleaning out, well, I cleaned out the basement area, and then she and I redesigned the backyard. So the intent was, okay, this space used to be where Uncle John used to teach students. Let's just like, I remember this conversation on the phone where I was like, what if we just turn it into like a museum / like, and play on like the Asian-esque influences in the backyard, get some bamboo, like do something cool. And I was like, what if we call it like John's Dojo? But he, his name for it was something totally different, but I'm like,
the mystique.
Yeah. I was like, what if we just, and she was like, okay. Like, so we got on board, did this, and I threw my 30th birthday in the backyard. It was awesome. It was karate themed, so everybody showed up and just like
the headbands,
gear. Yes.
What did he originally call it?
So he originally called it the Self-Defense Institute.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That was a lot more like.
Yes, exactly. It's a lot more fighter. Exactly. And like maybe the day or two before I had the party, I was like, man, I need photos. I need pictures of what this space looked like. And this house is like, figures 5 levels, 4 and 0 if you count the basement. And this, I think I found this on what would be like the second floor. And again, you have to visualize that this is a huge space, and there's so much stuff.
Yeah, let's visualize the building. So it's a brownstone, like a classic brownstone with like the parlor level.
Yes.
The massive basement. Is it 4 stories?
It's 5 with the basement.
Yeah, that's
yes.
big. And yeah, it's not the size of like a tenement building like people might envision, but almost that size. Just like a little smaller than that. And is it 2 families or 1 family home? So
this building actually right now, because of just time, right, it's still technically a SRO. Like it's still technically a single room occupancy. We are working with the city to amend that while we renovate the building. So it's just, but your floors are like if you've ever been in a brownstone, they kind of like stretch like east to west, right? There's street side to whatever your backyard is. So we have a floor literally that is just covered with stuff, and we've been going in there trying to take stuff out. But so I say this to say it feels like a treasure hunt, right? It literally, every time I start looking through any bag of something, like we're finding actual literal, like, so I found this photo album basically, which was all of his photos of what the basement looked like, pictures of him with his students, all of the gear that they had. And I found it like the weekend of the party. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. Like, I called up my mom and my dad. They came. My dad is like putting stuff on the wall. Like, we're just like just rehabbing everything, because he already had this stuff, but a lot of it was broken down. So we opened this space. We call it John's Dojo, and I think that summer, I don't think we did too much, but it was really last summer that I was like, okay, I want a year of just seeing how versatile this space is and what can we do, like, and who's interested. So I think we threw maybe at least 5 events last year. One that was actually sponsored by Aunt Jackie's, and they gave everybody like hair care products, and Uncle Waithley's, which is a New York-based ginger beer brand. Amazing. Like, so I feel like there are things now that people come to expect from a dojo event, from like a John's Dojo event, which is awesome. Like, I have people in my phone like, how come there's no parties this year? Like, what are y'all doing? And I'm like, we're just taking a break. We're trying to be a little more strategic, I think, with what we want to do with this space. Also knowing that the building is going to be under renovation. So at some point in time, we now I'm like, we really should do a lot of stuff before that happens and before it's going to be shut out. But like, we hosted like a game night, we threw a Halloween party, we were doing Friendsgiving there, and I have like a huge community of friends, and like Friendsgiving is like our shit. So we had, and then of course sometimes it's cold, but we're prepped now for like outside weather with like heaters.
That fire the last time.
Yeah, and the fire pit. Like, it is a whole vibe. It is quite literally a whole vibe. And it's just been so amazing to be able to share it with the community and with like our friends. And I have some friends who are from Harlem who come and they're like, yo, this is awesome. Like, we really love what you've done like with this space. And my cousin loves it. Her family loves it. She has 2 boys. Her youngest, like, I made sure I had pictures of them because they also did karate. They did jiu-jitsu. And we have photos of them on the wall. So as soon as he comes in, he's like running down and being like, that's me. And I'm like, yeah, I need you to see yourself in this space. You didn't grow up here. You're not from New York. Right. When you inherit this property, I want you to feel connected to it. Right. And that was kind of also the genesis of the documentary, which was like, okay, how do we now tell the story of this person that they never met? And how do we also tell the story of Harlem and how community has shaped what we're trying to do here and how important that is. And then it was also like, and if we make some money off of this, it can't hurt because we got to do this work anyway, right? To the property. So one of the things that we found in the house, I'm telling you, treasure hunt. My brother's wife moved in last year, June, and she was going through the closet, like on the first floor, the parlor level floor. And she found this box, like just I don't know if everyone does this, but like it's like a master lock box where you keep the passports, where you keep the like, it's like under the bed, right? Yeah. So this one she found in the closet, and she's opening it up, and she found my mom's birth certificate. My mom didn't even know she had a birth certificate. Wow. Both of my parents are from Jamaica. She found passports for other family members, and she found titles to land in Jamaica. Oh. That the family has been looking for, apparently.
X marks the spot.
20 years. Right, exactly.
Hit the jackpot. That's crazy.
So she finds this, and my mom calls her dad and is like, you got to come up here and get this because we can't mail this to you, right? And this is his like mother's box. So my grandpa flies up, and it coincides with the aunties and uncles party that we were gonna throw. So Mike was already ready with the video equipment to film the party. I was like, yo, Mike, come a little earlier. Let's get grandpa talking about this box. And my grandfather, when he moved from Jamaica, actually lived in this building on the floor that my brother was living on before at least he moved in. So So grandpa like is, and he's told me some stories already of like what that was like with him being in New York City in the 60s and 70s.
Harlem back then.
And yo. Yeah. He didn't tell everything on camera, which I was like, okay, grandpa, that's all right, I get it. But so we got him like on the 3rd floor going through the box, talking about the significance of some of the items to the family. And then he started talking about why the property is important to stay in the family and legacy and what that means for him to see just a building that his sister cared for so long to still be in the family with the intention to stay and to renovate and to build. So it's been like super incredible just to like even witness that, capture it, hear it from him. And then that's kind of what sparked the like, oh, okay, let's do this for real. That was the first like interview that we were able to talk through.
So where are you now in terms of what you thought you could have accomplished versus what you want to do? Because for example, I saw the Dojo's event page and I'm like, whoa, this is super different than even last year. And I'm like, this is like so clear, straightforward. Like, if you want to have an event here, here's how much it is, here's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a big jump towards like, like exactly what you want it to be. You know what I mean? So like, where do you see yourself now with this? And then where do you think it's going?
Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned the peer space. So I created that honestly in the beginning, probably before we even started throwing parties, but I wasn't advertising it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see like, okay, like this is also my brother and his wife's space, right? That's their kitchen when it's not an event. Yeah. So it's like, how do we, be intentional about who we're partnering with? And I kind of built out like almost like a rubric. Like if you're coming to me because you want to throw your birthday party here, that's not what this space is for, right? Like I can do that, but that's not like what it's intended to be. It's really to bring people together with some common, like some common goal or something that is here for the culture in a way.
Like right? Meaning.
Yes, like some meaningful impact. Like we co-hosted something with a friend, like a vision boarding event where it was very intimate. We brought in like maybe 15 people, and it was the perfect space to just do an activity like that. We've hosted a book Q&A session with a friend of ours who had recently launched his book, and we went to high school together, so one of our mutual friends interviewed him, and we set it up almost like a stage. Like, it's just so incredible how versatile this space has been. So I think the intent, and when I think about your question, I'm like, where is it versus where I wanted it to be? I think ideally, yeah, it would be great to have like a ton of bookings and to be making more money off the space, but I am okay with making sure that whoever is coming into not just an event space, our home, is like here to make a difference and already has a purpose that they're working towards. And this just elevates that. Right. There's a part of me that also feels like it's very much Underground Railroad. Like if we ever needed to host a certain type of meeting here and you can't do that in another space, I need you to come to me and be like, can we gather here? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Right. Like
I think of that a lot too, because I have similar sort of situation with my building. Somewhat similar, but I always think super future forward like that, where it's like, well, if it gets down to it, where are people gonna go? Like my people. Yes. You know what I mean? It's like, well, this is a 5-story building. It has a roof, it has a basement, it got some rooms. Like, do we need to strategize? Do we need to defend ourselves? Like, I'll be thinking forward. Right. So it's funny that you say that too. Like, you know, it's like an Underground Railroad stop where it's like people know to come here. Yes. Because there's just something about it there. It's like there's like soul in the walls of the building. So that's something that you're trying to curate.
Absolutely. 100%. Like and it is also in line with what my aunt and my uncle were already doing in that space. And that's something that I've been like uncovering as we've been filming and learning more about who Uncle John was, who Auntie Pam was. Like they were outside in the community. And I think we're going to be able to show that really well in the doc, that my Uncle John also was like training Black Panthers. Like, and I remember seeing like a VHS literally with like the Panther symbol, but it's like karate. And I'm like, oh yeah, because there was like this, like, and I found a lot of books on like Islam. And I'm like, Malcolm X. I'm like, oh, okay, Uncle John, you was outside. Okay, I hear you.
He was in Harlem after all.
Exactly, you were in Harlem. Like this was, and that was the day, right? Like figure Bruce Lee was huge, right? Huge influence. But then you start seeing, it didn't immediately go from like, you know, an Asian actor doing martial arts to a white actor. It went to Black actors and Black men doing martial arts.
Yeah.
So you have all these men who are just like, oh, okay, now I see myself represented. I can go do this and be excellent at it. So, I mean, he trained his daughter, right? Patrice, I think, trained in jiu-jitsu and maybe one other form. And I think why this is also just so close to home to me and to my brother is that we're also black belts and martial artists.
Right.
So to be able to like now, like sometimes like when I'm at work and people are like, oh, what do you do outside of work? I'm like, oh yeah, I run a dojo. Like, you know, just as like a life flex. Casual. So it's, I don't think I am disappointed with where it's at now. I think we're still in storming mode. But I know that when certain people come to me like, hey, can we do something? Absolutely. I'm willing to partner with anybody who's coming. But if you want to like rent the space out to do a shoot or to do like we've had a couple commercials shot there, like for sure, yeah, you can use the Pier space and book it that way. But if it's more of a partnered event, where there's some kind of shared cost and you explain very clearly what the benefit is, like let's do it. Yeah. Right? Because I know in the like from the nonprofit space what it's like to search and hunt for spaces to host events for something that is literally professional development based, it's education based, and you're asking me to pay you over $1,000 to use the space. That's money that could go to my kids.
All right.
And I don't have it, right? So I wanted to make sure too that for folks who are like who have this kind of like do good mindset that you have that available too.
Yeah, there's a really good feeling with that freedom of I don't have to, like you can kind of be discerning with who can have an event with you and not. And, you know, I think some people would see success, like you said, as like, oh, full bookings, I'm making all this money. But that's like you lose sight of what you were trying to do. And so when you're at this point where it's like, now we just have to like slowly, incrementally work at what we're trying to build and then allow for others on the same platform to do their own thing. It's like there's a lot of freedom in that.
Yes.
And it feels really good.
Yeah.
So tell us about the doc. So you're shooting a documentary about the dojo and about Harlem, your uncle, a few other things. Take us behind the scenes of that.
Yes. So let's see. So we did the shoot with my grandfather, right, who is up from Florida. That was kind of like our first installment. And this was like August, right? Yeah, so that was July. So August, a friend of mine comes up from Atlanta and she's really into stationery. There was like a festival in Brooklyn, so we go to this thing. After we go, I was saying like, oh, we should go to like a black-owned bookstore. And we were gonna go to the Lip Bar in the Bronx, but it was closed. And we get back to Harlem and I'm like, oh, there's like a bookstore on 155th, never been to, called Sisters Uptown. And so we walk in there, we're just looking around, seeing what they have. And as I'm going to like check out, they have like a staff picks kind of right by the register. And I look and I see a book that literally has our house and like 3 of our neighbors' house on the cover of the book. And in the back of my mind, right, so preceding this, I'm like, okay, if we're really gonna do this doc, we're gonna need like a historian, we're gonna need somebody to talk about like Sugar Hill and like West Harlem and like, or just Harlem in general. And so thought in the back of my mind, haven't done no research, haven't looked anything up. I walk into a bookstore and this book that is about Sugar Hill and Harlem has our house on the cover. So I'm just
here
like,
you go.
here
Get
you
started,
go.
please.
Here you go. So I'm like, okay. So I picked the book up. I talked to the owner of the bookstore, and I'm like, this is my house. And she's like, oh yeah, somebody else came in here saying the same thing. The author wanted to come here on her like book tour, but wasn't able to. Yada yada yada. So I'm like, so I obviously buy the book. And as she and I are talking, she's also telling me that they do martial arts classes at the bookstore at night. And I said, are you joking? Like, are you kidding me? So I was like, can you put me in touch with martial artists? Like, I need to talk to martial artists in the documentary. Like, we have to get that angle of what that was like. So she puts me in touch with 2 martial artists that come to teach karate to seniors at the bookstore in the evenings. So that's how those 3 folks got identified. The author and then the 2 martial, literally just by walking into a bookstore.
Just browsing.
And just browsing. So I reach out to the author. She had like some events that were happening for her book anyway. So we coordinated, we get a weekend, she comes. We filmed her in Sisters in the bookstore, talking about her book, talking about other books she's written, and just her love for Harlem. And like almost like her origin story as it relates to this book. So, and we also walked her through the house. She saw the dojo. She was just like blown away by everything. Come to find out her dad was like really into martial arts and like Asian culture. And she's like sent us like paraphernalia, like just like photos and like stuff that we can hang in the dojo. So it's just a full, like very full circle. So the martial artists now, I get connected to them. One of them comes by the house, and as he's walking through this like museum that we've kind of curated, he's looking at some of the certificates, and he's like, the students of this professor that you've called out are like extremely well known, and his students went on to teach special forces.
Oh.
And there are only a handful of people in this world that like have certifications from Professor V, who he's talking about. So this is just stuff again we found in the bathroom, right? We found like these things just randomly all over the place. There's a certificate right as you enter kind of like into the more rec space that certifies his hands as deadly weapons. And one of the
Don't play around.
One of the martial artists is like, yo, we thought this was a myth. Like, we didn't even know that this was something that you could actually do. So he's in here, he's like just blown away by who would essentially be like his professor, his teacher, his sensei at that age. And he's like, absolutely, 100%, whatever you need. Like, we'll be here. I will get my crew of people. and he's also like, Jose is amazing. He is also like trained in the performing arts. So he's a like really great speaker as well. And I was like,
he's like a showman.
Yes. And like we film him and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, so he brought his one of his colleagues. So we filmed both of them. And then that turned into, hey, I would like to do a self-defense class here. Was that something y'all would be open to? And he brings like another 4 or 5 folks who train with him to lead the self-defense class that we hosted last fall. So all of that is now content that we're getting for the documentary. And and it's just kind of snowballed from there. Like I've added in, definitely family members who knew Uncle John. We've brought in architects. We have 2 architects one who's generally like New York City architect and another one who is super well known within Harlem, to talk a little bit about the upkeep to take care of a building like this. And I think I think this is something that during the editing process I'm like figuring out is like, okay, now how do we tie this together? Like, what are all the threads here between taking care of a building, the history of Harlem, and how it happened that Black people inhabited so many of these buildings in like the 40s and the 30s. And then what are we doing now? And what does a space like John's Dojo mean today versus what it meant in the 80s and the 90s when he first started doing this? Yeah. So there's definitely, obviously like a community thread here, right? Like, how do we bring communities together? How do we open doors for communities to be able to to kind of like feed and grow off of each other, and then also to have a good time. You know, like
there's room for joy.
Yes, there's room for joy. There's room for parties. There's room for people to get to know each other in a space that is not just a bar, that also has like a very historical meaning and legacy. And you're able to kind of touch some of that, literally. Like, there's some people who are like, oh, can I touch this sword? I'm like, dude, let me take the sword off the wall so I can hold it, you know? So it's just been like really incredible, and it just feels so blessed to be a steward, which is really what this documentary now feels like. I am not actively like going and seeking. Things are coming to me.
Right.
And it's like, oh, this is your next step. Yeah. And this is the thing that you need to do. And here is the book. And here is the author.
It's just naturally
right. It's
flowing.
Just coming. And I feel like when you are in alignment, that's the way stuff feels.
Right.
It's
1,000%.
just like, yeah.
Every single thing makes sense.
Yeah.
So what's your vision for the doc? I know that there was, at some point you were like, oh, it's going to be short. And then you were like, no, it's got to be longer.
Yeah.
What's some of like the tone? What's your grand vision for it?
So I think, it's definitely not going to be short. We have way too many people now for it to be that. And funny enough, through the author, because she knew once she was involved, she started telling everybody that she had worked with on the book. So we actually, through her, got a chance to film at the Barnum and Bailey Mansion, like a couple of like streets down, which is just incredible because they did stuff with like HBO and they gave us that space like for
wow.
So just like a ton of like doors have opened. So now it's just like, okay, now the guest list is like a lot, right? And there's people who all over Harlem who are really excited about what we're doing. So through that connection, there was like a film festival that was going to happen from one of the local museums here in the city. So we've been kind of like trying to prep to get something ready for that, but we're just not there. So I think right now we're in the editing stage. We've completed all the interviews. We might still get some more B-roll here and there, but so my vision for it is maybe a mix of two things. So I think we still want to do for sure the feature, like an hour and a half or something like that. But then I was chatting with a friend of mine who is also a director, and she was like, you could even do like a mini series, and you could
I thought that too.
Talk about the different facets of everything that you've explored in more depth with something like that, and just release that on YouTube. You know?
I thought once you release the feature after that, people are gonna be like, well, is there more to it? Is there like, you know, people just want to dive more into the stuff they like. Right. I mean, you talk about the architect and stuff like that, the history of Harlem. I'm like, okay, like I'm trying to see that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then there's other things that people would want to hear more about, like the stories. Yeah. They want to see more images. They're like, whoa, is there more, you know, like family photos and stuff like that? Yes. What have y'all been up to recently? Like everything.
Yes, absolutely. Because then we could tell more of the story about like what we're doing today, which is probably not going to be a huge part of the doc right now or of the future.
But then people are going to be wanting to keep up with y'all on social media. Like, you know, if you make a YouTube about it or like vlogs or something, there's so much stuff. There's people love to watch content and live through people who are like really doing something.
Yes.
And so this, like, it's there.
And I feel like that's something that I have to work on because I'm out doing it and I'm not the best at telling the story, especially on social media about what we're doing. So I think that's also why I'm trying to be very, like almost too cautious about what's happening because then nothing is really getting released. And we have clips for days, right? Like where we could be teasing stuff out. But I think we just want to build more of a plan around what the release is going to look like. Right. And then, but then I'm also editing, right? So it's like, there has been some blocks around what happens now. And I kind of just need to run through them knowing that just like how everything was flowing before, you just have to keep doing.
Yeah. That's what I tell all of my friends who are creatives, especially the ones who are really talented, but they want a perfect plan or a perfect release date, I'm just like,
it's just not gonna happen.
Just keep just go with it. Yeah. And you know, like people have the short attention span thing, so it's like if you keep reminding them, then you're gonna build something in their mind. It's like, oh, I keep finding myself thinking about this.
Yeah.
When is it coming out? I found myself like with the events that I have, like the hikes and stuff like that. It's like people are asking me when's the next one. I'm like, oh, it's because I've been like consistent with it.
Right.
Whereas before it was like, oh, I'm gonna try to be perfect social media copy, the perfect photos and stuff like that. It's like, no.
Yeah.
People not even really paying attention to that.
Right.
It's more of just like how consistent are you with it? And then once you have it out, they're just gonna dive in and then look back at everything else you've done. Yeah.
100%. Like, it's like I even think about the events because we did the one event in like June, and it's been very quiet, and I think we also needed that though, right? We needed the time to kind of just, all right, let's think about it, let's be really intentional, and it's also work, right? And I don't have a staff. Like, there's no events team. It's me, my brother, his wife, my cousins, like, and we do it because we enjoy it, and we do it because we love to do it, but it's a lot of work. So I think once we get through the doc, then I think the events will come back where we're more like, just having a good time.
Yeah. So. Talk a little about the editing and how much of a headache it is.
Oh my God. So I was talking to someone about this yesterday because when I think about, okay, I have to clip this, I'm like, okay, let me do the first step before that. Let me just watch it again. Let me just listen to it again fully. No, not trying to clip anything or edit or pull this piece out or timestamp, whatever. Yeah. Let me just listen to the whole thing again. And I haven't really watched a lot of the videos. So a lot of this we filmed last year. Yeah. We did a lot of this last summer, last fall. So I'm like, let me, with now the eyes and the perspective I have now, think about this. And then I think I have to also be very intentional about, okay, are we clipping this for the series? Am I doing the feature first? Like, there's still a lot of what I would consider maybe elementary stuff that we need to talk about and do. But I think one of the amazing thing that's happening, Brittany, who's our director, her first film has been nominated for Best Feature. She's going to be in Detroit's Film Festival. She's going to be in a Harlem Film Festival next week. So we also are doing this on the side, right? Like, it's just we need to plan for it, and we are, but there's a lot of other stuff that's going on too. So I think the intent right now is to still have it ready by the end of the year. That's what we're trying to have, at least the editing done. And then one of our videographers is also a music producer, so he's gonna do all the music too. So it's just, and the fact that we don't have to go out to go license something because he has something that we could probably use. And then one of our neighbors who we filmed also, his basement, his dojo space is a whole recording music studio. So he's also gonna license some music for us. So it's very interesting. I have never done this before. That is not my background. My background is super tech, engineering. This is all just, oh, okay, how hard can it be? Right? And whatever else we need to figure out, we're gonna figure it out. And the resources are gonna come as we need them, as they have been. And that's happened for everything that I've been involved in, that I enjoy doing, that I care about.
What have been some of your favorite interviews?
Ooh, I loved Jose and Xavier's interview, the two martial artists. I think that was just so powerful to hear them talk about their own experiences, what got them interested in karate, what it's been like to be a martial artist for 20 years, 20 plus years. And to also see the way they light up and the way they talk about the space. This is something that I've heard from everyone, and not even just here at the dojo. I think it's the community that we've created and one of, and Xavier's daughter was there, and she was talking about one of the martial artists, his daughter. And when she walked into the house, she said, "It feels like magic in here." And that immediately was there is a vibe, there is a feeling of just family and community and ease that people feel when they walk into the space and when they walk into even an event that we've had there. I think maybe even saying that it feels like home. It feels like a home away from home. And when we talk about a third space, it's just, the compliments and things that we've gotten about his face is just awesome. Lost my train of thought.
Favorite interviews.
Yes, favorite interviews. So them coming into space, just that whole energy and activity was awesome. So loved having the two martial artists there. I think another two would be my cousin, who we just recorded literally a couple weeks ago, coming in and talking about her dad. Right, this is who the film is about. I think that was also maybe why I was a little hesitant to start editing, because I'm like, we don't have the
final piece.
Right. Yeah, we need her story, and I didn't even get to conduct that interview. I had a work call. Right, so Brittany led that interview, and it is amazing. But I had to listen to it, and I was like, oh wow, this is awesome. Like, we really have. There's so much here to talk about, and we really needed that piece. And then I think what's been awesome about the interviews is where we've been able to interview. So your interview was at our neighbor's house.
That was beautiful.
Yeah. Her parlor is like gallery.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, right. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And it's just gorgeous. And it also inspires me for what our parlor could look like. Because our parlor right now has tons of stuff in there. But I would love to do something like that with the upstairs, to do something more artistic, more creative, more musically inclined. I'd love to bring in a live band. So anyway, so her space and your interview just made me really think about all of the potential that we still have within the house, even outside of the dojo. And then the Bailey Mansion that I mentioned before. So each interview has been special for different ways. Like, even how you and I got connected was literally because you had an email named with like your Uncle John. And I was like, okay, here we go again with this. Like, things are just, you needed someone to talk about, like, and be an expert in community and like some of the just historical elements of what's happening in the city and what we're doing about it today. Okay.
Yeah, that was funny.
Enter red, right? Like, so.
Yeah, I even remember the first interview, the first email. I was like, wait, what exactly? And then I looked more into it. I was like, whoa, like, that's some crazy alignment right there. Especially in terms of like housing and the fact that I had been really involved in Harlem, and now I'm even more involved up there.
Yes.
So it's just like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's how life used to work for people, though. Like, their path used to just be just like that. Like, they're in alignment. It's just happening. And now it can be really confusing for people because they get really off track with, I don't know, like social media distractions, whatever it is. There's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
But I think when you're in alignment with that, it's just like, oh, like, my life just totally makes sense.
Right.
And then these good things just come together.
Absolutely. And it's strange too, because like, I have a certain level of flexibility with my job that allows me to do this, because we're shooting a lot of this stuff at like 12 noon on like a Tuesday, right? So there's, it's occurring at the right time. All of these things, and I think that's something that when I talk to people who want to start stuff, I'm like, just do it. And when you hit a block, work through it, right? Like, and believe in yourself, because sometimes that block is really you. Yeah. It's not whatever the thing is, the challenge is. Sometimes it's you in your head.
It's always you, because the doubt is the thing that makes you stop.
Right.
It's so rare that like you stumble over the hurdle. Like, the way I see it is that you're not going to be placed somewhere where you're totally incapable of doing
it.
So you got to clear the hurdle. If you stumble, okay, you're still going to clear it, but like, you're not even going to jump.
Right.
You got to, and this is the time to do it. If you have a creative idea, it's because you had like some downtime in your mind to be able to think about it. That's how I see it. Whereas, you know, people who have families and kids, they're not so creative because their mind is not there. Their mind is with their kids and stuff like that. If you have the time or the mental space to be a little bit creative, go all in, because, you know, there's timing with this stuff. Yeah. There may never be a time for it again.
Right.
And then if you parlay all of this, make more momentum, now your life can be a little more creative. And I think the time to strike is always like as soon as you get that idea. Yeah. My last guest on the podcast, that's what we were talking about so much, is like, just do it, just like go now. Because he's a painter, he like produces so much stuff. I'm like, how do you do it? And he's like, I just go And then he's like, if I don't like it, I just keep going pretty much. I'm like, okay, that's a really good strategy to apply. Is like, even as you don't like it as much, just like keep with it, and it'll materialize into something. And I think with your doc, that's exactly what's happening. Is like you have so much content, and it's like, where do I go with it?
Yeah.
What's the right way? Because there is no right way. It's not like you're searching with a metal detector and it's just gonna beep and it's like, oh, that's it. It's not that. It's like every day. Like this creation is going to be the product of your life while you are making it. And so you want to do it to the best and the fullest extent of your abilities, and it'll show. And it won't align exactly with how you envisioned it, but it'll be true. And that's what I think is so valuable about it.
Yeah, it's been and when you talk about a block and a challenge literally that I'm working through this week, it's the editing. It's quite literally just doing it. Yeah. And Brittany and I have been talking about it, but I also haven't put, I feel like, some of the structure in place that I like to have when I'm holding like my team accountable. Like, it's different when you're holding yourself accountable.
Oh yeah, you're a lot more loose with the rules.
Exactly. You're like, I'm tired. Like, let me go to bed. Like, and then I'm like, okay, well, I need to build in like a focus time to make sure that it happens. Like for me, that's the mornings. Like I can knock out like a whole bunch of like just focused work before my phone starts blowing up. I'm getting
so it's like early morning.
Yeah, so like 7 to like 9, 7 to 10. That's kind of my like, if I can, and usually I use that time if it's like urgent. I'm like, oh yeah, I owe this to somebody. I gotta get this done. Like we'll just knock it out first thing in the morning. And then I usually have a lot of meetings like later in the day. So
when do you get your most creative ideas? Is it also at that time of the morning? Like some big light bulb moment where it's like, oh, this should be, at this part of the doc or something like that.
So I think that actually happens for me when I'm talking about it, when I'm talking to somebody about it. So another friend who's a director, she's actually my sister-in-law's sister, so my sister, right? And she's amazing. She is, they're of Samoan descent, so all of the films she produces have like a Polynesian angle, and she's been doing awesome. She's been in a ton of film festivals. So she came to visit a couple weeks ago, and she's like, Brie, let me see like the clips, like let me see everything you're doing. And she's the one who suggested like, hey, a short, like, a docuseries, and I'm like, oh, okay, we could do this and we could do that. So I think as I talk through things, that's kind of when I'm like, oh, I actually just solved my own problem through just talking it out and explaining the other pieces. So outside of that, I would maybe like more of like a quiet time at night. Maybe if I'm like watching TV or something might come out, or if I'm journaling about it, then something might come up from that too.
So you're thinking like early next year for a release, and this is no pressure. There's no pressure, no deadlines.
Yeah.
So that first, and then also, what do you envision for the release? Like, let's say it's just a feature.
Ooh.
What you do events, so I'm sure this is gonna be a shebang.
Yeah. So that's funny you say that, because originally I think that's what I wanted to do, because I had this lens of like, okay, how do we bring people in here? How might we raise money? What if we just threw an event and explained the story of the dojo? And that also kind of, and like grew into the doc, right? That was kind of like added into it. But when I think about when it's gonna be ready, dude, I don't know. I really don't. Like 2026 for sure. So actually, it's a good point. So my family is having a reunion next July, and I want to show it. Like, so the welcome party is going to be at the house. So I'm throwing like our family reunion welcome party, and I wanted to show like a trailer or something of it when my family is there. So it will definitely be done by July 2026.
Okay.
That's my goalpost.
2026.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then if we still get into this festival, which was also just very random and at this point I guess divine, that they asked us to submit to a festival before we even finished filming. So
they saw the vision.
Right. They saw the vision. The author was praising what was happening, and they like she was like, yeah, have her reach out to us.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the type of stuff you hear about.
Right.
Like at all.
Right.
Really at all.
Exactly.
Like the subject matter,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, and it's just something that's so close to the Black community. Like, everybody loves
Y'all are doing
martial arts.
really good work.
The Last Dragon, like just some of the movies that have come out over time, and then to see it from this angle is like, it's incredible. So, yeah,
it'll
it's
be
gonna
great.
Fun.
I mean, I want to be on other people's podcasts too. I love
Okay.
doing that. I love talking about like the stuff that I'm into as well. But for this podcast, I just want a consistent flow of people like who are doing stuff and want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then also to have cool guests that you know, maybe are not exactly aligned, but still, you know, like cool people. I think that would be really cool.
Okay.
I think I just want to establish myself as, well, this platform as something that people can come to knowing that the intention is positive. There's like an element of like purity here. Like I'm not gonna catch you on something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's like no negativity.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of value in that. Like when people realize that that's what you're going for with like a platform, then I think they're gonna realize like, oh, that's where I should be going.
Yeah.
So I want to establish that. And then further, I mean, like the YouTube thing and like, you know, climbing those sort of charts, like that's something that like I don't really care about that, but it's something that I eventually have to try to strike. But yeah, I really just want to be at a place where if there's anybody who has something really important and meaningful and they want to talk about, I'm the first one they think about. That's kind of a goal that I have.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know that'll happen eventually. Like it's just the kind of person I am. And then also like the world right now is super saturated with stuff. And then eventually it's going to switch to like, okay, well, where's the meaning? Where's the like established, tried and true? Because before established used to mean like ABC, CNN, TNT.
Yes.
Like, and now it's like individuals and it's like, wait, who do I trust? Like people just don't know right now. And now it's really algorithms that people are being instructed by.
Right.
Of like how to consume stuff and like who to trust and so on.
Yeah.
But after that, like in a post-algorithm world, I don't know if that's ever going to be a thing, but once people start to realize like, here's my values, here's what I believe, this is my community, this is my group, where do I go for that? I'm going to be very clearly established from years of like, this is what I've been doing because I believe this and so on.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's really just like long-term stuff. But in the meantime, I'm just really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, I'm interested about how what is going to happen next with even some of the podcast stuff for the foundation.
Yeah.
Because it's not even like, yes, it is being, the audience is college students, the audience is young professionals, but anyone's going to be able to take away something from this.
Sure.
So, it's
providing value. That's all it really is. Once you do that, like people get it and they want more.
Yeah, and I've been spending a lot more time in front of the camera, like instead of running around the room, right? Like trying to organize the chaos.
Telling the story, like you were saying, like even on social media, there's so much. There's a method to how you tell a story, how you deliver yourself. It's marketing.
Yeah.
And that's not so easy. I think people take that for granted. It's like, nah, even if you have the perfect product, you have to market it. In this day and age, it's either the easiest to market if you just use AI, if you just use the copywriting and just like follow the formula.
Yeah.
Then it's super easy, but it's super hard if you're trying to do it like from scratch and trying to artfully capture someone's attention and then like connect with someone individually. That's what's really challenging, but there's a method to like, if your thing has meaning, if you have like a goal with it, you have to like personally, individually find your way to do it. And it's not so easy, but again, I think things are just changing so much that it's like, it'll find its way. It'll figure itself out like soon enough. That's just what I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And this space is also awesome.
Yeah.
Like I just walked around just to see it. I'm like, oh, I could definitely have meetings here. Like there's a huge conference table.
This is the embodiment of what I was just saying, where it's like this is just like generic like community space.
Yeah.
And that's what we need more of.
Right.
Like we don't need things that are like, this is the so-and-so's club that believes this and like is about that and donates to there, and it's like, yo, like, it's too much. We need more of this where it's just like Manhattan neighborhood network. You know, it's just like space for people. Like we lost sight of that a little bit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like I mentioned this to Wanda and like a couple of my other students that live in the area. I was like, if you ever need to just get away and you want to be outside in a quiet space, please text me. And if someone is home, absolutely. Like there's Wi-Fi here. Like, please hang out. Like that's what the space was created to be and to do. So it makes me happy whenever anybody stops by. Like literally, a friend came by today. I was like, "Oh, you spending the night?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay," 'cause he got keys. You know, like it's just, it's become this central hub for my friends and my family, and now whenever anybody comes to town, they stay with us. And they see the downstairs and they're like, yo, this is dope. I'm like, make sure you come to the next party, you know? So, it's been awesome to be able to share it with not only like my immediate community, but now like open it up to more folks.
Because your community will show, like you have your community, but what I mean by your community or your people, the people who you don't know yet but are your people, they will start to show and you'll click. And then, you know, when you just meet somebody and it's just like, yes, I get it. And, you know, you just kind of like from there. But once you have it where you want it to be, it's just going to happen that way. Okay, so Harlem, how long have you been there? And then also, what are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about living there? What's your involvement with the community? It's just such a special place, and I'm sure you have a lot to say about it.
And what I'll say is that I want to get more involved. Like, we've gotten involved to an extent, right, with some of the filming, but I'm not from Harlem, right? Like, I'm originally from the Bronx and Mount Vernon and Rockland. I've lived in Queens, I lived in Long Island, right? I've lived all over New York and then outside of New York for a considerable amount of time. So coming to Harlem and coming back to a place that I remember going to like as a kid, like after Sunday church or something, and you know, having a barbecue with my family, there's a sense of like, okay, I'm gonna like draw back to something. Some people when they come to stay with us, they're like, it's kind of scary in here. Like when you get further up, like, and they're like, are there, like, people ask about like ghosts. I'm like, no, there's, and I'm like, there's only the Holy Ghost.
As far as I know.
It's only the Holy Ghost inhabiting here. But there are moments where I'm in the house and it just hits me that like my great-grandparents lived here at one point in time. Like there are photos of them everywhere. Their things are still here. And it reminds me how connected, even if I haven't been directly connected to Harlem, it reminds me how much my family has been connected to this community. So with that, there's kind of like this responsibility that within a community that you reside and that you take from, it is your responsibility to give back. That is something that was instilled in me since I was like 13 years old. That my mom was like, nope, you go to church, you serve in church, right? You are a member of this community.
What church did y'all go to in Harlem?
So we went to church in the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
So I spent most of my weekends in the Bronx at church, and that's where a lot of like my friends and my chosen family like are. And also like figure immigrants, right? Immigrant family. That church was the community hub for all of these people who had come from Jamaica or came from the Caribbean. And they like, some of my friends and like that will come to these events, not only are we friends, but their parents know my parents and they hang out. And now it's like this generational.
Oh, I noticed that. Like, I was like, y'all got it. Like, that's what I always have wanted. Like, y'all just have that. It's like a TV show.
Yes, quite literally. Like, we call ourselves Squad, right? So there's Squad. We have Squad Wives. We have Squad Adjacent, which are like friends of ours that have like come into the fold and now all like have met each other. So this ability to kind of be here, like understand the history of what this space meant, and then integrate into this community. Like after we threw that first party, I'm like, oh my God, the neighbors are gonna hate us. Like they're gonna be calling me. Da, da, da. We ran into them the next morning. They were like, oh my God, it looked like you guys had so much fun. Like we love the music. And there was no fights. Da, da, da. I was like, oh, the bar is in hell.
The bar is low.
The bar is in hell. We can do whatever we want. Great. Because y'all thought there was going to be a fight out here?
Yo,
please.
they got that Harlem imprint on them.
Exactly. They were like, oh, okay, young people.
Yeah.
So I think just what we've been able to do with the space. So like the tea party, for example, we had a whole bunch of students that were about to go off to college, mingling with students who were in college and those who had graduated. And we're all sitting in a circle. We have the mics out and everything. And I'm just like looking at some of the neighbors and I see people like coming out, like staring to see what's happened. I've noticed that other backyards in that area have been like, they've added lights, they've added chairs, they've added like
that impact.
And I'm like, this wasn't here before. This wasn't here when we first moved here. So we've been in Harlem since 2022, like fall 2022. So, and I can't even believe it's been like 3 years. It feels like I just
that's
got
magic
here.
though. Like that's for real magic. Like that sort of influence.
Yes.
Man, that's like the power of love and action.
Absolutely.
That's
100%.
crazy.
And I think really to be in New York, to be in Harlem, like you have to love people.
Yeah.
There's so many people in this city. You cannot live here and not love people and understand that that is a part of what you are here for, like, and to serve. And
I think people lost sight of that came here.
for sure.
They don't know what they're here for.
Right.
It's not for people.
Listen, it's
like Bank of America told them to come and now they're here and they forgot why.
Right, exactly. And there's like, and I keep hearing this rhetoric that like, you know, New York City is not what it used to be. Like all of these things are being stripped away, and a lot of the communities and the creators that came here to be different are like cannot be here anymore. So it's like, how do we reach those people? Like you said, like that audience will come and they will find us. But now it's also like when we do open our doors again and we are promoting what we're doing, how do we make sure that we're connecting with that right community? And I think right now we kind of have it, and it's very word of mouth, which I also love, because I want it to kind of feel like you know somebody who knows somebody, rather than it be like an Eventbrite that you register for.
Yeah.
You know?
So. Yeah. Word of mouth, I think, is like the coolest way to grow, because it's like now a trusted person is being included. Like they trust you enough to tell you about this.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool. So with Harlem, like it's so great and stuff like that, has all this legacy and stuff, but it's struggling. Like it's definitely struggling in some ways more than other parts of New York. How have you seen that? And how do you see what you're building as something that can help alleviate some of these struggles? Yeah.
So interestingly enough, Jose, who's one of the martial artists that we interviewed, reached out to me a couple of months ago to tell me that the bookstore where we filmed and how we made that connection was kind of fighting for the ability to still stay in the community. And at the time, I think when he and I tried to reconnect, we weren't able to. But it's something that, especially with the benevolence that was shown to us to be able to utilize that space, like we were there for a couple hours in the morning that day. It's like, okay, how do I now use this platform? How do we use who we know and who supports us within John's Dojo to elevate issues like that? And outside of Jose, I wouldn't have known about it. And I don't even know if there are other folks like in my neighborhood that know, hey, Sisters is actually fighting to stay here and to stay in the community. So I think so that, and then I started just on the John's Dojo like IG account following all of these different Harlem, like Defend Harlem Now, Save Harlem Now, like all of these different entities. Because I know the people who care about us would care about this too.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how do we engage that to also kind of add to that? But truthfully, there isn't a ton that I have personally done. within the space outside of like what we're trying to activate around. I think it's something that needs to happen though, and we have a platform to talk more about it, to bring people in, but then also a space where we're like, hey, what do you need? How can I support you with the resources we have to help you tell the story or elevate?
Yeah, and I think once it's out there, people will be inspired to be like, oh, well, I kind of have always had this idea of doing this thing, and like now I feel like I know a place to go.
If you need like to fundraise for something, if you're trying to raise money, you need a space, and you don't want to charge arm and a leg. Yeah. Like, and you're mission oriented, that's perfect alignment for what we would want to do. I think the other ways that I've kind of just been like keeping a pulse on like what's happening in the neighborhood. So our block is like extremely involved. Like there's a ton of folks who've been living on that block for so long, and they can tell you how the neighborhood has changed. Like we interviewed some for the documentary, and they have like neighborhood association meetings. So I've gone to a couple of those where they talk about support that's needed for like certain, maybe even like housing developments that are coming up, and they're like, yeah, we have 10 of these, we don't need this here in this neighborhood. Like, you know, so there's a lot of conversations that I think, and a lot of the people who are attending these meetings are older Black women that I've seen, just very involved with like even the police in the area. They're walking around with petitions all the time. Like there is this very real grassroots neighborhood and neighborhood watch also that happens on this block.
It's like responsibility for the neighborhood and for the people of it.
100%. There's a lady who lives across the street, and I consider her the mayor of the block. She's coming to my house for me to sign something. She's the one calling the police. And like one day we were out there, somebody needed their car jumped, and we ended up facing the car like the wrong way down the block. And Kim, who's the house where your interview was, came outside, and it was like her friends who needed the jump. So the mayor comes outside, and she's like, oh yeah, I was wondering what's happening out here because I was gonna call the cops. I said, ma'am, that is not always the solution. That's not the first solution ever, like to do something like that. But they're so tied in with like what's happening. They want cameras added, like things like that. So from a very neighborhood perspective, I feel like I'm tapped in slightly, and like
I mean, it's not slight.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I'm like
so direct,
beating myself up, because I feel like when I think about getting involved in community, I'm thinking about like, okay, we're
you don't gotta be serving soup every day.
Like, you know, we're outside giving stuff to the home, like, so, and there's so much stuff that is happening, and sometimes I just can't make it. You know, sometimes we just. So, but it is also about prioritizing it. It's also about understanding that like this is my community now. What else? How else can I serve? And where is the need? I think that's another thing. When a lot of people move into an area that they are not from, you almost like, you're like, oh, it needs this, it needs that. It's like, did you talk to the people who live there? Did you go and listen to people before you start waving around what your solutions are?
Right. Interesting. That's a good way to put it, because I think the debate online a lot of time when you see like gentrification, they're like, oh, well, you know, it needed to be improved or something like that, or like gentrification is just making things nicer. And it's like interesting because if you moved there, that's how you would see it, as if like these things need that, whereas the needs in the community are probably not that. You know, like a new store or like coffee shop, whatever it is, it's probably something else. It makes me think about over here in Hudson Yards or like Chelsea. So Hudson Yards, the way it was able to be developed, especially a lot of the art and a lot of the like extravagant way that it looks, was able to get funding from the city or from the state really, because the neighborhood was rezoned. Chelsea was rezoned to include that area. And that part of Chelsea has projects, has low-income people. It was a struggling neighborhood, still kind of is. But they rezoned it to include Hudson Yards, that part of Hudson Yards. So now the state was able to recognize, okay, that neighborhood is struggling. So we're able to give funding to it. But what did they give the funding for? Was Hudson Yards.
Right.
They didn't give funding for anything else in the neighborhood.
Wow.
That's, and that's like classic like legal New York stuff to just loophole the whole thing. And it's like, well, what do the people of that neighborhood actually need? And now what's happening with them is that the people in NYCHA are facing not eviction, but they're going to be removed so that they can demolish it's a massive project complex, especially for Manhattan. They're going to demolish that and then build new ones. And in the meantime, they're going to be housed elsewhere, which there's no plan for that.
Right.
And most of the people in NYCHA are struggling, obviously, well below the poverty line, struggling with disabilities, with health, and many of them are seniors. And many of them are much older. And the stress from this and being displaced, many of them would die waiting for their new home to be built. And it's like, okay, so if the funding had gone to that earlier rather than this whole fiasco, a lot of this could have been avoided. And it shows you that it's like neighborhoods and people need specific things. Like individuals need individual things, like fix their potholes if you want to get close to them and really serve them rather than, oh, let's build something beautiful or paint a mural or something like that. It's like, is that what makes you feel good about it, or is that what's really going to serve them? And I think with the dojo, it's like, this is something that it's not just like, hey, we're going to take pictures and like put up lights and then that's it.
Yeah.
It's a place. It's a place that's going to help cultivate the sense of community, but also actually develop individuals within it. I think you had mentioned, maybe it was at Kim's place, does she have events there? Right. So it's like, that's something where people are getting value from within their own community.
Right.
And state funding and gentrification or whatever people think, that's never going to go to things like that.
Yeah.
It's always going to go to the new street sign named after somebody or whatever the other. So it's like these things, like gentrification is so nuanced because it involves things like this, where it's like people have needs. And especially the people who are struggling, they don't have the paycheck that's just like coming in consistently to depend on. It's like they need others to be able to help them out. And so I always wonder how the city or the state, or like you mentioned a grant for like what you're doing, how can we get more funding for stuff like this? Because there's funding that goes to all other different types of stuff. It's like, what about stuff like this? And is there going to be a shift where politicians are going to see, oh, people are going more back to the like local community stuff. They're not going to us and like the big things we're building anymore. They're going to their neighbors. Yeah. That's where I see things going. Yeah. So maybe the money will start going back into that. And the same way that you'll see like run clubs being sponsored, like big sponsors going back to like run clubs and book clubs. Like wine tasting events are becoming like little curated events that are like sponsored and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's like, okay, the big companies are realizing this. When will the city and like mostly like the voters, I guess, realize, oh, we're going back to that rather than just, whatever we've been doing for the last like 20, 30 years.
Yeah. And I think when you bring it back into the home and the neighborhood, there adds an element of like whoever else is like, okay, let's say there's like a speaker, or what's coming to mind is like the neighborhood meetings, right? The police will come to these, right? And when this first started happening, I was like, you want me to do what? and because they would like ping me and they'd be like, hey, we need a neighborhood support to show out and to talk about like crime that's happening, or just things that the community, this particular neighborhood, feels like they need to address here. And we need bodies, kind of thing. So the first time I went, I was kind of like, just kind of very much like, I don't really understand what the purpose of this is. But if for nothing at all, it it shows like we care about this place. We want to make sure that that you see our face also. Because the first thing I thought about with this is like, if someone were to call the cops on me for having an event and because the music is too loud or something. And so I asked the question, and the guy was like, oh yeah, they can't do anything because your property's in the backyard. I was like, oh cool, bet. Good to know.
Nice.
Right? And I wouldn't have had that exchange, that interaction, had this space not existed for this type of forum.
Right.
So, and when I think about, I guess, like what could the city be doing differently, or even like what grants exist, I've applied to them. I have found stuff that's like, oh, small business, trying to start something, like here's $5,000 if we like your idea, kind of thing. I've pitched that, and I have not gotten any money yet for the dojo, but I think it's there. I think I because of the nonprofit stuff, I'm just subscribed to a lot of newsletters where they're talking about grants that are available for Black people, for women, for women of color, like, so, but from the city, from the state, they're not. It's usually private, like private entities.
So much. They have a huge budget, and that's what I've been pitching to them is like, well, y'all have this giant budget. Why don't you give money to individuals, to communities for their homes? Yeah. And then for something like this, like, it's such a special, unique project. It would actually be so interesting if you were to be able to pitch what you're doing to the Senate, because they're the ones who decide, like, okay, where do we put this like $8 billion budget for New York State? Yeah. And I'm over here like asking for pennies, like, hey, could you give us $50 million for the entire New York State? So that we can either buy our buildings, so we can maintain them. Yeah. So we can just like, live without having somebody like banging our doors down for rent, and we don't even own it. Yeah. So if we can do it for that, and I can go there and be like, hey, I'm the one who would be capable of doing this, because they really want to see that, like, who is going to be using this money. Right. So I'm there being like, hey, me. Yeah. And I have a plan which is like, I don't know, just trust me. Really, that's what it is at the end of the day. But with you, what you're doing, if you were to be able to go to them and be like, well, this is what I've been doing already. Right. Imagine if we were able to open up this opportunity for others in the same neighborhood. Right. To buy their buildings and not only convert it to affordable housing, but create community spaces. Yes. Like these people, like, all the politicians are not like reptiles. Like, some of them are there. Yeah. Some of them kind of get it.
The ones you hear about.
Yeah. Some of them are curious and like trying to act in good faith and like, oh, how can we make New York better? I mean, I think that's why some of them got into it. Yeah. So it's like, well, this is how you can make New York better. This is what New Yorkers want. Right. I think a lot of them, well, even the ones that I've spoken to, they don't even think that this is something that people want, which is like home ownership. They think that people want to rent. And I mean, there are advantages to renting and stuff a little bit, but if people owned their homes, they wouldn't even be thinking about home ownership anymore. They'd be thinking about community. Right. How can I use my home to either shelter others, benefit them, develop them? Like, it's endless. Like, that's what life is really all about. So it just really makes me think about all the possibilities that could come from this. And I don't know if you found others who are doing something similar, but it's just so interesting how you have this whole track record. You've been doing it.
Yeah, I guess some of this is also like, we've been creating gatherings and spaces for like community professional development type stuff when I think about like nonprofit, and then also just having a good time for years, right? Like, some of this stuff was even happening when we were kids, right? The little logistics that go into how am I going to see my cousin who lives in Queens when we're in Rockland, right? So like, and who's coming with us along the way, right? Like there are some like, weekends where there's 10 kids at my grandma's house, right? How does that happen? Logistics, planning, like, right? Like getting people together, because we know once we're together, we're going to have a good time no matter where we are. Yep. So we've been doing this in various backyards and spaces and places on trips. And then it was like, oh, boom, now you have a physical brick and mortar. What is even possible? Right. And this is what that is. Yes. This is like, okay, we're going to honor the space because this is the reason, he's the reason why we have it, right? The Tullys in Harlem owning 3 buildings in the 40s? What? Unheard of. So we have to talk about that. We have to acknowledge that. But then it's like, okay, what are things that people can relate to when you first walk into the space, right? It's like, all of the movie posters, all of I wanted every generation to walk in there and be able to recognize a martial arts film that they either heard about or saw. And then the back is very much can be a loud space, but is meant to be a quiet space. Is meant to be this serene, this place where you can, my cousin's son, her oldest son who's in college, he said to my cousin that he loves it back there. It's so quiet. It's just, and to say that in Manhattan, that you're in a quiet, serene space that's just, exactly, because it takes sometimes too much effort to go get that. So it's, or you gotta jump on a train and go on a hike.
It's luxury.
Right?
It's literally a luxury that people are willing to pay for just to have peace.
Right. Exactly. And it's we've been able to create that. And then once we had this space, it was boom, okay, we got it now.
Yep.
That's all we needed. All we needed was the space.
Right. I wish people knew that. Housing, and in this case, just a house, a home, a space is the foundation for everything else you want to do.
Right.
It's so cool.
100%. It's been a blessing. It's been a journey. I'm so excited to see what happens, even as we do start to renovate the space. I'm excited to see when this documentary launches, if additional funding will come our way to keep this. My cousin's husband jokes around. It's yo, we need to open a John's Dojo in Cali. I was okay.
We franchising this?
Exactly. We're doing this? Okay, maybe we actually do have a once a month defense class that we really do run, and are able to then say community, hey, neighbors, we're doing this at the house.
People want stuff to do.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the people on that block, specifically Kim, who you met, and then our other neighbors who have been a part of the documentary, they're just so happy to see that the house is being cared for. That they come and tell me all the time that my aunt would be so happy to just see us there preserving the space. Kim said, stopped me the other day, and she's like, oh, it looks like you guys are having such a wonderful summer. Just all of this positive reinforcement that is encouraging, you guys are where you're supposed to be. You're doing the things that this community appreciates. And it's had all of these unintended happy consequences that have come now from this. So it's been amazing. I love it here.
And it's just starting.
Yeah, and it's just starting. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's round out with your foundation, with your nonprofit, what your mission is there, what you do, how you try to make an impact.
Yeah, so I started this foundation. It was not a foundation when it started, right? So I had just graduated from college, and I was involved in the NAACP at my high school, and still was really close with some of the organizers. So when I came back, I had told him, I was dude, I got $500. I'm working now. I'd love to be able to give just something to a student who graduated from my high school. And he was like, oh, this is an amazing idea. There's this breakfast happening in the community. You should come talk about it. And the community specifically is Spring Valley, which is a very diverse community, Black and Brown, and also adjacent to a very large Hasidic Jewish population in Rockland County. So I spoke at this breakfast, and one of the local politicians came up to me, handed me a check for $2,000, and was like, you should keep doing this. So that's how kind of the advent of one scholarship became 6. So I awarded 6 students from my high school and the neighboring high school in the district a scholarship. Over the course of that maybe first year, I would maybe call them every now and then and be like, hey, how's it going? Is there anything you need? How are you finding your first year? And then just kind of continued doing that with them as they went through freshmen to seniors. And then awarded that following year and the next year and now we're in year 12, year 11, something like that.
Wow.
So it's grown, and that's why I can speak from a place of when you need resources, they will come. They will absolutely come. And it wasn't really until I would say maybe the last year that I was are we really making a difference like in the lives of some of these students? When I think about just, you know, how we, like the pandemic, everything was online. We were able to access students from, because usually they're like all across the country at this point. But are we really now making an impact because we're not seeing the numbers we used to? Now we're not always seeing the attendance, but we know the intention is there. We know they want to be here. So anyway, I'm jumping ahead. So the first like maybe 3 years of, not even, maybe 5, I wasn't even in New York. Like I was there for that first year, but then I moved to Connecticut, Alabama for work, and then Miami. And I was like, I need a team on the ground. Like I need people there. And the first 3 like came and asked me, like, hey, do you need help? Can we like help you like organize and mentor and host these events? Wow. And it started originally actually with the first, was that the first year? Maybe that was the first year. I held a professional development event at a space in Rockland that was Black owned, and that actually awarded me like a certificate or some kind of recognition in high school. So coming back and being like, hey, I have like 6 to 10 students who graduated from this community that you low-key probably did the same ceremony for. Can I come in and use this space to host this event? And they were like, absolutely. So, and we got that space for free. We didn't get it for free every time, but that first time, they were like, absolutely, we'd love to host you here. So fast forward maybe about 5 years, my cousin, and I have a lot of cousins, I'm Jamaican, there's like cousins for days, was killed in Mount Vernon. And my dad like lived in Mount Vernon. I was raised partially there. And the first thing that I thought about was like, I mean, maybe not the first thing, but like a couple things later was like, okay, we're gonna open a scholarship in Donovan's name and we're gonna do it at his high school. And that was how we ended up in Mount Vernon. So we are in 2 high schools in Rockland County and 3 high schools in Mount Vernon, because I think we actually, when I decided to do that one, I was like, well, we might as well do the other one in Mount Vernon like we did in Rockland. And it's a very similar demographic in Mount Vernon and in Spring Valley, minus probably the aesthetic shoes. So, so that first year that we were there, obviously, like it was hard. It was a very emotional time, but that community in Mount Vernon came together around a scholarship and around how we, like my aunt and my uncle and his brothers were there to give this to the students that were awarded it in his name. And it was just really powerful to be able to kind of like, to do that. And we've been in Mount Vernon every year since then. And that was 2018. And that one high school actually split up into 2. So now there are 3 high schools that we're in. And one of them is Denzel Washington's High School of Performing Arts or something like that. So, so that's how we ended up in 5 schools. I think if we were to continue expanding, because we're kind of like serving a student population that is like where the Black and brown people live in the suburbs, right? So like Long Island, potentially, Uniondale, Hempstead, like those areas, maybe even further out like Brentwood, like some of these pockets in suburban areas that are typically disenfranchised, where money is being funneled to go somewhere else. Yeah. And there are communities of people fighting against that. And like the NAACP in Spring Valley is one of those examples that has kind of like really kept us afloat before we got our 501(c)(3) status, right? They were letting us kind of like take in donations through them and allowing for it to still be tax deductible. So there's, I feel like I've jumped kind of like all around the place trying to explain this, but the mission of what we do is to empower future leaders and to help them reach their full potential in college and beyond. And the way that we do that is typically through virtual events that they can attend throughout the year. This podcast that is now launching. The title of the series that we're launching is called What I Wish I Knew. The name of the podcast is going to be called The Scholar's Guide. So like the name of my foundation, and like the students we refer to them as scholars. So The Scholar's Guide. So the first series is just going to be literally like, what do you wish you knew when you were in college or high school?
You get 3 hours out of me.
Yes, yes. So we're going to bring in like a bunch of different guests. We're trying to align it first with the majors of the kids that are there, and then we'll just branch out. So I'm just starting with my friends. I'm like, okay, you were here. All right, so I have 9 episodes that I'm going to do first, and we're launching literally in a couple weeks. So
Let's
this will be good practice.
This is good promo right there too.
Yes.
That's awesome.
To be able to do it. And Mike, who was one of the videographers from you, is shooting it.
Yeah. So, okay. Y'all are real deal.
Yeah.
That's fire. That's such a good idea. With podcasts now, I think people sometimes can like recoil a little bit like, oh, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. But if you have an idea for something that's like so straightforward, it's like, go with that.
Yeah.
And then you're starting with your friends. That's perfect. Yeah. That's what I'm doing a little bit here is like people who I work with and are just like in the close vicinity.
Yeah.
And then we build up from there. It's like group economics kind of. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Like networking on like a content basis.
Yes.
And then building up that way. And then it's like people will see what we're all about rather than just like I have a platform, I talk about this.
Right.
It's like what's his world about? Bree's in his world. What is she about?
Yeah.
Let me look at her stuff. That sort of thing. Oh, you know how there's like the pod sphere and like the manosphere? That's kind of the only one that really like blew up off that.
The manosphere?
Yeah, it's like, you know, like Joe Rogan and like all the comedians and then like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they talk about like whatever, but they all have existing platforms and then they turned their platforms into podcasts. So it immediately just clicked and blew up.
Right.
And now they all link to each other.
Exactly.
But that one was already kind of baked in. So what we're doing is kind of doing it from scratch with all our different ideas.
Yeah.
And then turning that into content and talking about it. And then people will slowly, you know, build up to it. It's just super grassroots. Yeah. But it's way better that way if you ask me.
Yeah. I think it's easy. We already also have like recorded content that we're going to upload this fall. And then all of these episodes will launch like once a month starting next year. It's just an easier way to get content out to our students because they're so busy. Like I can't host a virtual session at 7:00 on a Tuesday and expect them all to come. Yeah. Because they're just doing college shit. Like they're just all over the place. Yeah. So this was like some real feedback we got from them and I was like, okay, bet we can do this to serve y'all and then this is available to everyone. So any college student can come find this and still get that networking connection from it.
There's so much value in having an archive, like a library of evergreen content because even those students who missed out on it, if they weren't able to come to one or something like that, they'll look back years later and be like, oh, I actually remember when I was supposed to go to this, but I didn't go for whatever reason. Yeah. And now I have the wisdom of like, oh, I would have done this differently in college.
Yes.
That sort of thing. I'm thinking about myself in college right now. I'm like, there's so many opportunities. I was just like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And it's just, there was no reason attached. It was just like, nah. But obviously in hindsight now, it's like, nah, go do that, go do that. I'm doing everything now.
Yeah. I wish I knew like finance shit. There's so much stuff. I'm like, man, if I had been investing from then, even just like $10, $20, like I would be straight right now. Like there would be just a lot less debt.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the idea behind it. And I started reaching out to people. They're always like, yep. And we're just gonna film Sundays now through December, and we got a grant to do it.
How'd you do that?
So let's see, this past year was like the first time I was ever really intentional with the foundation. Like we have a ton of donors. I donate, my team donates, but I was like, all right, let's see if we can find grants. Like there's free money out here. Why are we not going to go get it? So I had joined this kind of like a membership club. It was Black owned, called 2045. And I met a girl there who was starting her own foundation, but she already had like a for-profit business. It's called Flex and Fly. So she was creating like this foundation and she introduced me to a consultant that she had hired who was helping her build her board. And when you build a nonprofit board, for real, the purpose of that board is to just finance it's to help you get fundraise. Like they might buy in to whatever it is you're doing, or they are literally there to help get money. So this consultant is a member of her board, and she came on to kind of like assist me for like, I think we were talking like once a week for like maybe 3 months. And I did pay her, but it was very much a like, what can you pay kind of situation, which I was like, all right. And I never hired a consultant before. I never thought we really needed it until I was like, oh, there's real money out here. We need
once you are trying to source big money, you need people who have access to it or know how to get there, because it's intentionally hidden.
And how to build the pitch and the portfolio.
Right.
Because I'm here thinking, oh yeah, like I can figure this out. Like I could ChatGPT, AI it, whatever. She came on board and she was like, you got to fix this. This doesn't make sense. How are you explaining this? Over the course of like those like six to 8 weeks. And she also helped us source grants, which was a big thing too. And because my nonprofit supports students who are outside of New York City proper, right? You're talking about like Westchester, Mount Vernon, Rockland County, Spring Valley. It was very difficult because a lot of the ones that we would find are applying to like New York City education related type stuff. So we found a local utility company that's actually right across the street from one of the high schools that we've served for the last 12 years. And it was like immediate. As soon as I got in front of them, they were like, our cycle just passed. Make sure you apply as soon as it opens. And I was like, okay. So literally we applied. I think they closed the grant 6:30. We got the money in the account 7/1.
Oh, hell no.
$10,000.
That is real.
Yes.
That is real.
So in that whole grant was scholar network building. That's what we pitched. We're like, we want to connect our scholars better to each other and to our community. So the podcast is one way to do that. The other way we're doing it is just investing in the events that we already do. So I invited you to like the
tea event.
Yeah. And then even to do like a talk with the kids, do it virtual.
Oh yeah.
Now we can actually pay people, some kind of stipend
right.
to do that. Everyone's been doing it for free or for like the low.
Yeah.
So we're investing in that. And then stuff like the tea party, so that way that doesn't have to come out of John's Dojo pocket, which is mine. So
that's the financial version of the group economics that I was talking about. Because now it's like, okay, well, it's just like a cycle of money. That's really how money is supposed to work, is that like you flow it around within your community and stuff like that. That's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're both really about, is like we have communities and causes, and money and positivity and attention. That's what really like content and stuff should be flowing through that.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And I mean, that's like what it's really about. Like when they say like, buy the block back, this is kind of how you do it now.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And now I get to reinvest into like my friend, right? Who has all of the equipment, who has a studio. It's a little further down. But we were gonna shoot there before we decided, actually, let's just do this at the dojo because we have the space for it, and he could just bring the equipment to us. So yeah, it's truly is. It's just like a full circle moment because obviously, Mike is also shooting for the dojo and doing stuff with the documentary and editing for the documentary. So now it's been an incredible like way that I'm able to work with my friends, still create together, and then also build. And
that's what it's really about.
Yeah.
For real.
And then we also have a physical, like maybe 1 or 2 in-person events where we try to bring everybody together to talk about, in some ways it's very elemental. It's like, I'm a freshman and what is living in a dorm like? Then up to a senior who is, in a major that they might not really love, and they have questions about what it takes to do something that they do love. So, we've awarded close to 70 students over the past like 10, 11 years. We've given out over $36,000 in scholarships.
Wow.
Since then. So the grant and the some of the like fear that I think I had this year was like, how do we maintain this? I can't, like, every fundraising season feels like pulling teeth. Like, we need to give ourselves some cushion. And we also need to be really intentional with how many students we award. Like, some things are just happening, like, haphazardly. Like, there's a certain level of organization and rigor now that we have that just came with time. Mm-hmm. And that just came with doing it over and over again. Like, we have a really good system. We have an excellent team. nothing happens within that space without them, because I remember doing it by myself for some of that like whole process. But yeah, so that's kind of like the mission. That's why that's a little bit of the origin story, how we ended up in those schools. And I think it's something that the next couple of grants that I'm looking for will be to kind of get us through the next season of the podcast, likely. And then it would be great to just get some money to give the money away, but a lot of scholarships are a lot of grants are programmatic. So they're not going to give me money to give money out because they likely have their own scholarship that they give. So that's been a challenge also. It's like, okay, we did the fundraise this year. We actually did an incredible job fundraising this year. So we're covered, but we still got next year, right? And that's already still in the back of my head, like, how are we going to fund this? Because we have increased the amount that we've given by like 3 times the amount when it started. So I'd love to be able to give out a full ride to somebody in my lifetime.
So that's like one of the big goals.
Yes. For me, personally, that is a goal of mine, to give a student a full ride to school. I think that would be just like an awesome thing to do, because right now we're giving out like, books. Maybe you can get a laptop now. And the cost of living, the cost of tuition is ridiculous. Yeah. Like, there are some schools that I apply to that are not like almost 3 times that. And it's just like, for what?
For what now, especially?
Exactly. We have some students who are like going to community college. I'm like, dude, that is so smart.
Yeah. Word.
Because if I know a lot of people who are like, man, I should have just taken all my gen eds at community college and then transferred in
for like 1 semester,
right? Just to have the name, if that's really what you
if
needed.
That's what it's about,
right?
Even now, it's like, what is that?
It's highway robbery. If I could do it over, would I still go? Yeah, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but it's students who are like going to college and are undecided. It doesn't make sense to me for you to be undecided and paying upwards of $70,000 a year.
Especially if you're not like the most extreme social butterfly. If you are, you'll find somebody, you'll have that one connection. If you're literally there talking to everybody, involved with everything in the school, all the extracurriculars, other than that, it's just simply not worth it.
Yeah.
And then if you want to do something you could probably do on your own or learn on YouTube, I'd probably say to do that before going to school. Yeah. Which is crazy. Like, I value education so much, but it's like I can't encourage somebody who's not positive about what they want to do to go spend that money and leverage their financial future.
Absolutely not.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And to go work a job that you don't like, to then have to pay off school, like,
to go follow the script.
Exactly. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I feel for some students who are like, who just don't know yet, right? So college can be a really great place for you to figure that out, but you have to go to like, it's your job. Like, my mission when I was like, oh, I gotta get out of my parents' house, so I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make sure that I can provide for myself. And I think once I had that on lock, like, I had internships in college that I knew were gonna transfer into a job, I was like, oh, okay, let me go have fun. Like, let me go do all of the clubs and things that I really enjoy doing, because that was set. That my mission, my purpose for coming here and spending this money is fulfilled.
Yeah. So, where'd you go to school?
I went to Stony Brook.
Oh, word. How was that?
Stony was... So I think my experience with Stony Brook is a little different than others. Like, what you usually hear is that it's a very big commuter school, that there's some, like, because the LIRR runs right on campus. Oh. So you have a lot of people that will go home on weekends. Right. My experience at Stony Brook was awesome. But I, like, the first year wasn't allowed to live on campus. Like, I was too young. So I ended up having an off-campus apartment, thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to go on campus. I'm going to live on campus. But that ended up not happening because, like...
There's, like, an age thing?
Yeah, so I don't know if they do anymore, but I graduated high school at 16. So when I turned 17, like, right before going, and you have to be turning 18 within your first semester to live on campus.
Yeah, that's like a major flex just now.
Oh, what?
16 is crazy.
But my brother too, like my mom, Jamaican, like she was just very on it as it came to education. And we started, like I started school earlier, and like my brother ended up skipping a grade, but he also started early. It's a lot. But so that wouldn't happen, and then I was off campus. I had to learn how to drive, like, because now I gotta drive to campus, like that. None of that was in the plan, and I ended up saving so much money because I wasn't paying for room and board.
Yeah, that room.
I was like paying as I went.
They made you grow up quick.
Yes. Right. Oh yeah, I've been renting since I was 17.
Yeah, word.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's been like Stony Brook for me. Then I like forced myself to be on campus. So I got involved with like everything I was remotely interested in, anything that I thought was adjacent to like my major. So like this is irrelevant for this conversation, but I did a lot on campus, and I still go back. Like I still get asked to go speak about what it's like to be a woman in STEM, and you know, like some clubs that we started, some events that we started that they still host year after year, stuff like that. So
okay, so you do all this stuff for other people. What do you do for yourself?
I do for myself.
When do you give yourself a break?
Ooh. So I love a vacation. And I think I try to do that at least once a quarter. Where that vacation is, like I'm thinking like, I did go on one this quarter, okay. But next quarter, I'm like, probably not. So I think I love being around water. So a beach, a pool, a sauna, something with water is usually where I feel re-energized and just ready to kind of like, okay, we're good to go. Like, so that's usually maybe my go-to. I also have like a massage membership. So on a day that's just like a lot, I'm just like, oh yeah, I have like 14 of these that I have not used. Let me go in go get them. Yes, absolutely. 10 out of 10 recommend.
I got like the self massager things for like, yeah, it doesn't do it the same.
Like when you don't have anything, yes, but there are some days I can, and it's like a chain. So when I travel for work, I can like
damn.
Yep, I find the nearest one.
That's like a loophole.
It is. It is like, so sometimes like my coworkers and I will go out for dinner or whatever after and I always book it for like whenever that's not happening. So like, oh, you want to go to dinner? I'm like, sorry, I have a massage.
I got a massage.
I can't, yeah. So yeah, that's a massage. Trying to get to some kind of warm water, beach. And then probably just hanging out with my family and my friends. I love having people at the house. I joke about this all the time, that the house feels like a Hey Arnold house. Like, you have this just boarding house. I want to take a photo in front that's like just like that, like a classic, like Hey Arnold.
Word. All the different characters.
Yes. 100%. Like, so I just love people. I love family. I love community. I love hosting. I'm like full event mode whenever we host something in the house. So even though it's a lot of work getting there, I enjoy doing it. Like we wouldn't be doing all this work if we didn't also like it. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
This was so good, Bree. Thanks for coming on with me.
Thank you for having me.
For the next time you come on, you're gonna have so many updates.
I know.
I'm just thinking about them. Like, wow, like all of this stuff is like in the infancy. Mm-hmm. It's just all gonna blossom.
Yep. Yeah.
But thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
This was great.
Thank you for having me.